you tested positive for not just one, but two genetic signatures that increases your risk for multiple cancers. You mentioned the anxiety and the hesitancy even before taking the test and what you need to find out, the conversations you want to have going into being counseled before you take the test. But then it's a whole nother situation after you get the test results and find out that you have a gene mutation that increase your risk for developing a cancer, and you had two. How did that hit you? How did you even process like what to do next?
Yeah, I mean, it hit me in two ways, right? Two layers. One is that gut punch, right? I was at home, my kids were here, and I got the call from my genetic counselor, and she's like, "Do you have a few minutes to chat? I have your results." And I don't know, I just could hear it in her voice, like, this is a conversation you're probably going to want to sit down for. And it's a strange feeling because you don't know what you're hearing. You know you have two mutations, but in the moment, you don't. What does this really mean? Like, how likely is it that I will have cancer when I hear that I have two, not just one, but two genetic mutations? And honestly, we just did this test out of just an extra layer of precaution. I wasn't one of those people who, you know, is reacting to a cancer diagnosis or, from themselves or in their family. Right. And so, so it was a gut punch for sure. I was scared. And I just remember sitting in that room and my kids were playing in the next room and just thinking about them. Right. Just like my immediate thought went, whew, what does this mean for my kids? What does it mean for our future? What do I need to do? Your brain is spinning. Right. But as I mentioned in the introduction, after I could just take a moment to pause and take it all in, it did give me that strange sense of permission. Like I said, it was like, instead of worrying about all of these vague possibilities, like I didn't have any symptoms or anything that led me to do this, right? But I had real information. I had science to support this, right? And so I could do something about it. So there's a little bit of a sense of relief. I didn't have to argue with myself that I was overreacting, right? That, oh my gosh, like I said, before, that health anxiety was maybe percolating in the back of my mind for a reason. And so really, I think we have to balance that sense of, where you let your brain kind of get ahead of you when you see something that doesn't seem right or feel right versus letting logic set in, right? We're sort of, those of us with health anxiety are often balancing that, right? And so at this point, then I started to realize I can start taking some concrete steps. And so when I started doing the research, I started thinking, what is the next question? What do I need to do next? And then what next piece of information do I need? And when I turned on that curiosity mindset, everything just kind of settled a bit and I was able to start moving forward, right? The first thing I did, though, was call my sister. So, yeah. So it's good that when you have a support system, right, to get that news and then have somebody to talk to right away. While I had a great conversation with my genetic counselor. In fact, she's been on the podcast. She was one of the first episodes that I did with a guest. And it just gave me some comfort to know that I had somebody that I could go to if I had any questions. I didn't feel like I was on an island.